Now, Jordan, you've seen some pretty incredible highs and some pretty confronting lows. What were some of the things you're doing right on the way up?
Well, on the way up, I mean, listen, business, I think one of the things that as a business owner, I think your audience is mostly business owners, right? One of the things you have to wrap your arms around as a business owner is that the things that make a business successful from 0 to 1 million are not the same things that make it successful from 1 to 5 million, from 5 to 15 million, and 15 and above. So I think from my perspective, the thing I did probably that was the most clever was that I brought in the right people into my company that were experts in an area that I was not expert in. My abilities are very strong in the area of sales and marketing. That's really what I specialize in. I'm a marketing guy. I'm probably the best sales trainer out there, anywhere. I really am. That's what I do, right? And I've trained thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of salespeople, right, to become master closers and persuaders, right? That being said, that's only one small part of a business. If you have great sales in a business, but your marketing is not up to par, or you're operationally not able to keep up with the orders, or quality control suffers because things you're shipping customers subpar merchandise, or you're shipping late, right? The system doesn't work. So I think for myself, I think the smartest thing I did is when I first hit on my system of selling, of influencing, that allowed my firm to, my brokerage firm to start to become one of the biggest in America, is that I brought in a key operational person, I brought in a key financial person, and I allowed them, and I delegated out to them the ability to build teams beneath them. So rather than me trying to micromanage a business, I put competent people into positions of power, and I let them run with the ball. And of course, I watch them. We had, we're in touch hour by hour because we were in an office together, a small office. But I gave them enough latitude that they can go out there and build their own, essentially, organizations and infrastructures within my company. Doing that allowed me to leverage myself to start growing my business. So each element of it, operations, sales, marketing, back office, it had a system in place that was duplicatable, that was transferable with manuals in place. That's what allows a company to go up to the next level. I see time and time again, I coach entrepreneurs, right? Lots of them. And the biggest problem they have is typically they're micromanaging, is they're trying to be a jack of all trades in their business because they're, their instinct says, and this is a good instinct in the beginning, is you want to keep your expenses down, you want to keep your overhead low, so you don't want to start paying for all this sort of stuff in the beginning. But there has to be this tipping point in your own business when you see that things are hitting, when you see that your business is going in the right direction, and you can bring in the sales. At that point, you have to be willing to tee it up. You have to hire good people. You have to put the right systems into place. You have to spend money on infrastructure, and if you don't, you will end up failing because of that.
You mentioned briefly the different stages of business, and I think that's something that's so crucial for entrepreneurs to understand. Can you explain to us the difference in running a business from the 0 to $1 million mark, $1 million to $5 million mark, and the $5 to $10 million mark?
I'll give you an example. Right now, there's a guy named Frank Kern, who maybe you know. Yep. Frank's a good friend of mine, and he's a business partner. We're actually starting a business right now, which we believe is going to be $1 billion company, right? And this is a venture that we really believe in. We're funding with a lot of our own money, right? And Frank's a wealthy guy, I'm a wealthy guy. We have money, we have resources, and of course the ability to raise as much, because that's what I'm an expert at, is raising money. I could raise 5-10 million in venture capital. That being said, the conversation I had before, so I was on a conference call to bring in someone as a sales manager, right? And I'm arguing, chewing them down for every penny up front, because I know this. Now, as much as I think we're going to make over the short term, as confident as I am as our business plan, I know that in the real world, very seldom, virtually never, does your business plan actually translate exactly out into the real world as you think it will when it's on paper, right? So in a startup, the idea is you need to, number one, keep your expenses, you need to keep your overhead down. If you're hiring a sales manager for $20,000 a month and paying his this bill and his that bill, and you got an operations guy for $6,000, your rent is not, before you know it, you have $50,000 in expenses before you even turn around for a startup. Okay, what happens is this, not that that's a lot of money, because it's not a lot of money for a running business that's making millions of dollars. But what happens is, while you're figuring this stuff out in the beginning, if you're burning through cash, it's demoralizing. I've seen business owners, they come to their hands are up in the air, like, what, I'm burning through, you know, 75,000 a month and I can't bring in the sales yet, when actually they're this far off from where they should be to bring in the sales. You know, they don't have it quite right yet on the sales and marketing side, but they're this far off. But they're burning through so much cash that they get into a panic and a frenzy, right? And it doesn't allow them to really start thinking clearly and looking long term. So the idea is, in the beginning, when you launch a new business, keep your expenses very low, outsource as many things as you can, okay? You have to be somewhat of a jack of all trades, okay? And make sure that you don't fall into the trap of, when you're planning stuff out, of focusing on profits versus cash flow. For a new business, the most important thing is not profits, it's cash flow. You want to make sure that you set yourself up, the deals that you're cutting are sustainable, meaning that if any goods that you need to buy, you have to make sure the terms that you're buying them under don't make it so that as you grow, you're going to keep having less and less cash because you got to pay for the stuff before you sell it, right? The idea is to be in a business or structure your finances that if you have customers, we all have customers, right? They pay you first, and then you can turn around and buy your product, so your cash flow is positive. And I've seen it again time and time again with entrepreneurs. They simply don't get it, and they just cut bad deals. Not because they're stupid, it's not that, they just don't get it, that they think a deal looks good on paper, maybe they're saving 4% by paying early, but that's not. I'd rather pay an extra 4% and have use of the money for 30 days, so I can use that money then to go out and be in business, right? So the idea is you don't want to set yourself up with alliances and with joint ventures and with suppliers that's going to cause you to be in a cash flow negative situation as you're growing.